Aloha, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I will be your host for today. My name is SprinkleBeard. We stream every day over at twitch.tv/SprinkleBeard from 1 p.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That might be changing in the next few weeks. We'll have to kind of see. I might be returning to work. I recently had heart surgery. That's not what you guys care about. Just understand the time might change. Anyways, let's get into today's video. I was asked to review the Great Hall. So specifically here, what is the Great Hall? Why do we care about it? Where do you get things to level it up, right? So, the Great Hall is super amazing. So depending on your rank, so right now I'm sitting in Gold 4, and I have no intentions of climbing any higher anytime soon. But I get flat stats of HP, attack, and defense to all my characters on all content, right? It does not matter what I'm doing, if I'm doing dungeons, faction wars, clan boss, whatever. I'm getting some flat stats as upgrades. And then all of these rewards that are marked off here, I'm also getting some extra stats on. So where do we get these tokens at, and why, why does it matter type thing? So right now, the current meta for Raid is speed and accuracy. We want to be faster than our opponents or faster than whatever we're fighting, because the faster we are, the more turns we get. The more turns we get, the more often we can use our skills. Or if we're first to use our skills, certain things like stun, sleep, blah, 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 we can put our enemies to sleep and they lose a turn. We can stun them, they lose a turn. We can break their armor, so like a 60% defense decrease, and then slap them super hard and kill them all in one go. Everything like that, right? So, with that being said, right now accuracy is kind of one of the most important stats that you can get in the Great Hall, because there is no speed stat to upgrade. The big thing I want to stress though is, like, how would you know as a starter, right? If you have a brand new account, what you should go for. Right now advice is jaded, and the big reason it's jaded, especially for new players or free-to-play players, is that Ninja is currently an event going on. Right now it is July 28th, so from July 15th to October 15th, 2021, there is an event right now for the Champion Ninja. He's a free giveaway. I'm sorry, give me 1 second to get a drink here. Sorry about that. He is a free giveaway champion right now. So if you log in for 7 days, you can get a free champion. What used to influence how we would guide people to invest their stats in the Great Hall was which starter you started off with. Because one of the starters doesn't require any accuracy. Elhain, she requires no accuracy. So you might have had different options you could have picked with her. And then another one of the starters, Gallic, is just not very good, so he's very easily replaced. You might have been able to switch, go to something else as well for something like him, instead of focusing on accuracy. So when it comes to the Great Hall, so in the terms of accuracy, and the reason I'm showing off Ninja, right? Why do we care about accuracy? Your ability to land debuffs is a twofold check. So first, it's the percentage chance of the thing happening, right? So on this skill, it is a 75% chance to freeze. And then if we look at other skills, he has a 75% chance to HP burn. And then on his A1, we have a 45% chance for a defense break, or a 60% defense down. So the first check that the game does, right? It says, first, we want to know this question. Is the chance of the thing happening, is it a yes or a no? Right? So on this other skill, right, it's a 75% chance to happen. You can, if you fully book him up, or if you had duplicates that you fed to him to increase his skill level, it can get up to 100%. So it would be 100%. Yes, this is going to happen. Then after that check has happened, you now have a branching path of, okay, is the accuracy higher than the resistance? Yes or no? And if the answer is yes, it is most likely to happen. There is still like a 3% chance from what somebody told me, who I've never looked into personally. There's still a chance that it could be resisted, right? There's no absolute guarantee, but that is the importance of accuracy. If you're trying to land your debuffs, this does not apply to buffs, but if you're trying to land your debuffs, this is a way for you to know if your buffs are going to land or not. So when it comes to the Great Hall, typically us veteran players, I'm going to consider myself a veteran player at the moment, is we would recommend that accuracy is the best thing for you to invest in. And then specifically for Magic Champions, also because you get so many Magic Champions at the beginning of the game. It seems almost rare for you to get like a Spirit Champion or a Force Champion. And then the other detail of it as well is whether or not you're going to even use that champion, right? So let's say you're playing through the campaign, and I had a question earlier this stream about Templar. So if you got Templar and you're like, oh man, this counterattack skill is really cool, and then this Provoke, I love Provokes, I love tanks, right? You might then say, okay, I'm going to farm up campaign 8 until I get a bunch of copies of Templar. I'm going to feed those extra copies to the original using the skill upgrade, and then that will upgrade his skills so that this chance goes from a 25% provoke to a 50% chance to provoke. And because it attacks 4 times at random, you know, those 4 hits each will have that 50% chance of landing, making this skill quite good, to be honest with you. That's actually a really good skill in this game. And the fact that it also blocks damage. Very nice. So instead of, like, let's say you started off with Elhain, who does not require accuracy, you then instead might go to your Spirit Affinity, right? Go to your Spirit Affinity and start maxing out that accuracy. So, what stats besides accuracy, right? Let's say you're trying to do a no debuff run of Raid. I don't know why you would ever do that, and that sounds horrible. But let's say you wanted to try it, right? What could you invest in instead? If you invest in Resistance, Resistance is kind of this weird double-edged sword where it is a very good stat and it directly combats accuracy, so it has a great amount of value in the game. What's funny is that when you talk about player power or your team power, if you want to notice some really big advantages there, Resistance has the highest ratio in that calculation. So if you're trying to inflate your number without actually being better, upgrading Resistance can be great. And then likewise, the general concept is if you can resist being debuffed, right? So I'm going to look at Bellower here for a moment. He's my pride and joy still to this day. I still love the way he looks and his weapon. Bellower is all about the debuffs, right? He's got an attack crack, a defense crack, a speed crack, and then a block active skills for 1 turn. So if you come across Bellower, and if Bellower is a problem for you, you want Resistance. There's certain other champions like Madame Ceres where having that ability to resist what they are trying to do, you could make Madame Ceres absolutely worthless. Understand, though, that most people are stacking accuracy, right? So here I have my Void Champions at max accuracy so that my Bellower is landing his debuffs. But on top of this, right, they're stacking accuracy here, and then in their gear slots, they're stacking more accuracy. So right now, accuracy helps you be most consistent with your team. So it is by far the best recommended, or at least in my opinion, best stat to invest in. Resistance could be a second one. Again, the problem with Resistance as well, you have to hope that your opponent is trying to debuff you, and then you have to cross your fingers and pray to your many gods or your singular god that you do resist the skill that's coming at you. So in terms of consistency, Resistance is not super consistent right away. So what a lot of other players are saying is it's actually better for you to focus on, let's say, your crit damage. That will help your damage output. It's something predictable for you. And when your team is doing its job right, the extra crit damage will be noticeable. So with characters like Ninja, right, I definitely want to start getting this crit damage up right away. And then for like my Spirit Champions, I now have Mashalette on my account. I really want to get this crit damage up. Right now, again, I'm kind of focused on getting my Mashalette better. So I think I'm going to upgrade this next. I think that's going to be my next big goal on this account. Now that I'm talking about it, though, I am considering doing my crit damages and having my team's offensive stability, right? My predictability be a bit better. So after crit damage, a lot of players right now, including myself, would say defense percentage is phenomenal, right? Every character takes advantage of defense, and for every character that can also take advantage of defense, they are also taking less damage. So the more defense you have, the better. And as you can see, the stat results are very weak at the beginning, but then they do start climbing up by 2% the further you get in, and then eventually 3% as you get much lower. So what I do like about this system is I do like the slow rewards at the beginning and then escalating rewards as you get further down. I do wish this was like an extra 10. That might be a game balancing issue. But it is very interesting to just look at these stats and be like, oh man, you know, like an extra 20% defense. And if I'm getting 20% defense for just being in gold 4, wow, my team will be really, really tanky. Unfortunately, though, you know, please understand that the crit damage modifiers are probably always going to be much higher than your defense modifiers. So it's going to be much harder for you to, like, if you're like, I'm going to go super anti-meta and I'm going to max out resist first and then defense percentage and just have this super tanky team, it's going to be iffy, right? It's not going to be as noticeable as accuracy. You're always going to notice accuracy. You're always going to notice that crit damage. And then, yeah, you'll start noticing the defense. So with that being said, what would you go after next then? My opinion would be resistance. As you can see, I've slowly started to increase my resistance. I do think, though, probably after this video, I'm probably going to start increasing some of these up to about 3 and then reevaluating from there. Attack percentage and HP percentage, although they're good, and obviously you can see I have a great investment here in attack percentage, this is me trying to do something very specific. I'm trying to get a campaign farmer to one-shot things without having to blatantly re-gear them. I do think, unfortunately, I'm probably at that point that I just need to surrender and re-gear them. They're so close. They're so close. I wish you guys could see the footage of it. It's so close. Anyways, so where do we get these medals from, right? That is the next big talk of the Great Hall. So when you go into battle and you go into your arena, what I'm currently teaching on this channel is we want consistency of who we fight against. So on a new account, we want to go to our defense, and instead of having a true defense here, what I'm encouraging a lot of new players, just have one person as your defense. And if like you're brand new to the game, just put in some random green champion as your defense. And the reason behind this is we intentionally want to lose. We want to be playing against other players that are consistently losing, who might not have good teams set up, who might not have a good understanding of the game yet. We want to play against those players first. And the reason that we want to play against those players first is we want to be able to use up our arena tokens consistently, right? We get 1 refresh per hour, but then we also have things like this where we're, oh gosh, I have tons of champions sitting in here. You get tons of refreshes to your arena tokens in your inbox from completing certain missions, or maybe collecting from your daytime rewards, doing your dailies, maybe doing certain challenges like your arena challenges. Things like that will give you these more tokens that you can use up. And because these are static buffs that we can get for every other content in the game, the more time that we spend in our arena, and if you can only farm up bronze arena, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Get your 50 tokens and upgrade a stat that's valuable to you. And then when you get past those 50, then, you know, when you have one thing in every single slot, go up to that 150. And by that time, too, you'll probably be getting new champions and might have a better focal point on what your account needs, right? So if you start off with Kale, accuracy for your magic champions is amazing. If you start off with Elhain, you might go with your Force, and you might go and farm War Maiden from the campaign, and then focus on her accuracy so that she's landing her defense debuff. It just depends on who you have, what your focus is. Likewise, if you don't have Ninja, right? And instead, my son pulled the champion Norog yesterday. And Norog has this amazing defensive passive and a decent defensive stat. So he might want to focus on his defense percentage in the Great Hall. But Norog also has really good things like block buffs and block active skills in his kit. So he might want to focus on that magic accuracy so that his Norog is consistently landing his debuffs all the time and making big waves in the arena. So in the arena, once you have a defense and you're fighting against other, you set it to this very low-end defense, right? We don't care that we're losers for now, because right now we're spending these tokens and we're winning. And every time we win, we do get some of those medals, right? We'll start off with copper medals while we're in bronze, or I guess bronze medals while we're in bronze, silver medals while you're in silver, and gold medals while you're in gold. With that being said, you eventually are going to want to move up higher as you get closer to bronze 4, right, which is the top of bronze. You will start getting like 2 or 3 bronze medals per win. So there is the advantage of, if you start to climb, if you feel like you have a good grasp on the teams, if you can look at this team and you know what Seeker is going to do, you know what Madame Saris is going to do. Now, mind you, I'm in gold, so I'm more likely to see epics and rare champions. Epics and legendary champions. So where you're at, though, you might see Apothecary, and it's very important that you know that Apothecary is going to speed up his entire team and heal somebody for a massive amount. You might be at a point in a new player that you're like, oh crap, I need to bring anti-heals just for Apothecary. You might see certain things like Miscreated Monster, who is a huge HP tank, who also you might need anti-healing for, or a cleanse because he keeps stunning the crap out of your party. There's things like this to consider for every single fight that you encounter. Here in this fight, this team power is much lower than mine. Now, team power, again, there's ways to inflate it and there's ways to decrease it, right? So by having very low resistances, this team could easily take on very high, like 200,000 power team power, and it just means that they have very low resistance, but they have Deacon Armstrong that will make them very fast, and they have Seer, who is going to nuke like crazy. Seer removes both buffs from both sides and just hits like a freight train. So I have learned that I don't like to fight a lot of Seer comps unless I am certain to be faster. And Deacon Armstrong is very difficult for me to be faster than right now. Even with a speed lead and a fully speed invested Apothecary, who admittedly probably needs some better speed gear with like triple rolls into speed for the arena, that is not something you have to worry about at the beginning of the game. So, once you're earning these consistent tokens, right, and you're upgrading your Great Hall, you notice that with accuracy, your debuffs are landing more often, so you feel better. You're upgrading your defense, so you're surviving longer. You start upgrading your crit damage, and now that you're upgrading your crit damage, you're like, well, I need to upgrade my crit rate with gear and stuff, right? So that way my crit damage is landing more consistently. What about 3v3s? 3v3s are very frustrating for a lot of newer players in the game because you just do not have the same amount of champions that veteran players have, right? This, unfortunately, is much better geared for your end-game users or people who are heavily invested in the game, who are constantly pulling shards, constantly pulling champions. And here's a perfect example that this team has an entire team of legendaries with a with a decent attack power, but then he has an entire team of rares with an epic. You will get to the same point as well the longer that you play through Raid. The big thing, though, is it's going to be the same thing here. This is where I can show it off properly. My defense for my 3v3. I have one champion by yourself, one champion by himself, one champion by himself, and they're all supports. So anybody who's played the game for a decent amount of time, they're going to look at this and say, okay, I know what he's doing. He's trying to stay low. So why am I trying to stay low? In the 3v3 arenas, you get gold bars instead of those medals, right? Instead of the bronze medal, the silver medal, and the gold medals. So what can we do with these gold bars? The 3v3 arena has its own bazaar. There are some really great things in here that we're going to review. And then, unfortunately, guys, that's kind of going to be it for the video today. It really is going to depend on you and your champion pool what you want to invest in. But gold bars, you can actually get some free champions in here. So I've already purchased one that I can't show off at the moment. It's a skinwalker. He's not great. There's this lady here. She is also not great. She, again, could be better than nothing for you. And then as well, that she's a void attacker. So with that being said, this skill is not bad. That would be very good for you in the arena, for instance. Has a weaken in her kit and has a stun in her kit. So in a sense, she's kind of okay for the arena if you wanted a free champion for the, well, free, but obviously you have to earn her through gold bars. The point though is, instead of opening her up out of a shard, you could come here and, you know, you'd have to buy 10 copies of 10 shards to get you to that 100 shards, where you could finally get her and collect her. More importantly though, there is a legendary here. So if you're able to earn 360 gold bars each day, right? And then you just check in every 24 hours, you can buy 1 shard each day. You could start working towards one of your first guaranteed legendaries in the game a little bit sooner than Soul of the Drake, so you get for playing for just 6 months. This legendary is quite good. We're not going to review him here, but he is quite good, and he is amazing on the Spider Den, and a lot of newer players are complaining that they have trouble doing the Spider Den, and he specifically has an HP burn that hits everything, and HP burn is really good into the Spider Queen dungeon. So there's a huge reason that you might want to get him. I think he looks badass. I think he's a really good, cool design, and his kit is quite good as well. He's a defense champion with a provoke and a decrease attack, meaning he's really not going to take any damage when he provokes something. He's actually a pretty great champion. I currently do not have him because advice I was given in the early game was to, nah, he's not that great. He's only good in Spider. You'll get better by the time you get him. That's not true. I wish I'd invested more resources into getting him. The other thing I want to point out, though, with these gold bars, right? You can buy things like ancient shards. I've had plenty enough where I had enough gold bars to buy an ancient shard and still get my fragment. So if you're hurting for new champions, this could be a way for you to farm up and every couple days get another ancient shard on your account. There's things like rare skill tomes in here. These rare skill tomes are amazing for upgrading a single character's power. So your starter, if you have your Elhain, your Kale, I don't think this is the best place to get them. I do think this is a consistent place that once you can 3v3. And then something else I want to point out in the 3v3, right? Let's say I knew that I could win this first battle and the second battle, but was like very iffy on this third. It is still perfectly fine, right? You will still get gold bars for winning 1 out of the 3 matches. And it is more important for you to just be using up these 10 tokens every day and generating yourself some gold bars. Do not just sit there and be like, I'm going to lose these other 2 matches. That's fine. Write them off, right? Okay, I'm going to lose these other 2 matches, but I'm still going to get the gold bars from this first match. And it's still valuable for you to have these gold bars coming in. As you can see, I'm sitting here very cleanly at bronze 1, very happily not trying to move up too high, because I want more of these easy battles. I want more fights like this where I have a very consistent chance of dominating and just collecting gold bars every day. So points per victory, here you can see I get 13 points to, like, you know, get up to bronze 2, but I get 6 gold bars per win, and because there's 3, that's 18 gold bars per fight, and times 10, that's 180. So every 2 days, right, if you just use up these tokens, you could start getting your Drexthar Blood Twin token fragments to help out your account. Certain things like chickens are here in the account. This could be for you, good for you very early game. Even late game, like I'm at a point where if I took my 3v3 seriously, these chickens would actually be more valuable. And I'm finally getting into the point of faction wars where rare skill tomes wouldn't be bad for me to have more of, right? But that is my overview. There are other books that you can buy in here if you do greater farming, if you start climbing up in the 3v3. So this is why some players might not complain as much about their luck or what they're encountering. I really hope this helps you guys out. The Great Hall was a request today, and I was very happy to oblige. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section down below. And as always, until that next time, ta-ta.